And how you can help us is to either play with the EMF reader or one of those two cat toys, and they will light up.
Before we get started, I'd love to talk to you guys about the tools we'll be using. First off, we have this EMF, or electromotive force detector. As you can see, which many of you will have seen one of these before, it basically just detects if there's electromagnetic force in the area. Now, the important thing to note here is that there are a lot of things that can trigger this that aren't ghosts. For example, Wi-Fi interferes with this thing like crazy. I can't give you the exact location of this building, but just understand that it's a business building and there is a lot of activity in Wi-Fi going on right now. So just to give you an example, we'll turn it on and watch what it does with this, I would assume, not haunted building. You see how it doesn't want to stay still? It jumps to 3 quite frequently. So whenever we go to do the testing for actual ghosts, we're going to have to do testing with our equipment first. What kind of interference can we expect? What is our tool going to do with or without ghosts? Without this information, we won't know if what the tool is doing is an anomaly or not. And by the way, this does work. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you guys, but if I do my best to cover this, you'll note, look, it's sitting around 1 because I'm blocking the electromagnetic force, and then I let go and it lights back up. The next tool we'll be using is a spirit box. Well, it's more of just a sound recorder. It's a very high quality one though, one that you could actually use for things like game development or just recording your voice. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. So the goal with this will be to place it somewhere around and just try to communicate with the ghost, as it's known that for some reason, sometimes they can only speak through electronic devices. So we'll be testing it with our little recorder here. However, I do have another one. This one is a lot lower quality, but it will serve as the same purpose. It will simply be something we place somewhere, or we will have in our hands so we can try to communicate and see if we get a response back. The next tool we have is actually pretty fun. I'm not gonna be able to show you these idle at the moment because I don't have anywhere to place them, and you'll see what I mean. But what they are these little balls. What they are is actually a cat toy, and we have 4 of them, and we're gonna place them around wherever we're doing the experimenting. And what you'll see is right now they're not doing anything, but if I press this button here, it starts to flash. Now, if I can sit really, really still, you'll note that it stopped flashing. But if I move, immediately it starts to flash again. So essentially we can use these as movement detectors. If something messes with it, the lights start flashing. So those are our basic tools. And again, we're gonna have to see what kind of interference they're getting in any location before we start trying to actively try to find ghosts. The reality is we can't get a basis of our tools in the location in a way that's plausible. You might be wondering why? How does that make sense? Well, let's go back to the EMF reader and I'll show you the problem. In order to know if our tool is acting in accordance to what we expect, or if it's some kind of an anomaly like a ghost, we need to know the baseline, how it's gonna act regardless, correct? Well, when I turn this on and we see that we're getting a nice little jump here and there due to Wi-Fi, cell phone signal, everything else, how can I prove that this room isn't haunted? How do we know a ghost isn't doing that right now? So when we go to a location, we have to assume the ghost is not going to mess with our tools, because we can't prove if there's a ghost there or not to start out with. So how can we then prove that the ghost did something with the tool and it wasn't just an anomalous interaction that would have happened regardless? You're starting to see why using the scientific method is going to make this very difficult. So that was a very high interference test. However, what if we wanted to do something in, I would say something like low to medium? We're in the middle of a city, but we're outside and in a park. Let's see what kind of interference we get on the EMF whenever we're in a setting like this. We're still getting all the way up to the yellow on the EMF. That's crazy. Like, the nearest building is about 100 to 150 feet away. So the next thing to consider would be, is it my phone? So let's walk away from the phone and see if it goes down some. And just like that, we're already down to 1. I'm curious if I start making my way back toward the phone. Look at that, it's the phone. So whenever we do these tests, now we know we have to keep the phone. Well, let's see. We're still flicking up. Last time it had already stopped. Okay, so I'm about 10 feet away at the moment for it to actually stop flashing. And even then, we're still having beats of it where it comes back up, which could be the microphone. I just happened to think of an interesting experiment. We realized that the phone is indeed causing some of this interference because as I backed away, it started to go down. So what if we put my phone in airplane mode? Let's give it a shot. So the phone is officially in airplane mode and I'm still getting insane interference. I'm wondering if it has to do with the microphone. We're doing testing, so we might as well see. I'm gonna turn the microphone off and just use the phone's mic and let's see. Okay, you'll notice by the sound quality, I've switched mics. So let's go ahead and turn the EMF on and see what we got. Now, the phone is still in airplane mode and now the mic is gone. It seems to be inconsistently hitting yellow, but much less. It does seem like it helped quite a bit. Even when I get near the phone now, it doesn't seem to be bursting as high. So when we do these recordings, it'll be important to make sure the phone is on airplane mode, and we'll have to see about the mic. Maybe I just can't stand near the EMF reader. By the way, this should tell you how easy it is to fake an EMF reading, because if turning off putting my phone in airplane mode, as you can see, has dropped the overall. If I was to go turn it back on, let's see if we can do it here in real time. All right, airplane mode is being turned off. I can't see because I'm using my phone. And all of a sudden, is it staying a lot more? Yup, and look at that. So if you ever wanted to fake an EMF reading, there you go. So ultimately, what we've learned is we need to make sure we keep all electronics away from this, including the camera, unfortunately. At least about 10 feet from that test there. And we need to let it run and just see what the default values are for any location, because that's pretty high. All right, we have made it to our first location. What's the location?
Hay Cemetery.
Hay Cemetery. Oh, really good. There we go. So we're here in Hay Cemetery, and Hay Cemetery is very small. We're in a very remote location, as you can see, and we are going to remain completely respectful. We are not here to cause any trouble. However, we chose this location for one very important reason, and it has to do with a tombstone over there. What's going on with that?
So apparently, a long time ago, they suspected this little girl was possessed by a demon.
Okay.
They ended up burning her alive and buried her. I don't remember exactly how they buried her. I know there's several steps that they took into it. But the tombstone does say the vessel may be dead, but the demon still lives.
So this is going to be our first actual test. The good news is we have very low interference. As you saw from my other videos, that was going to be a significant issue. So before we get started and move over there and do testing with the tombstone, we are going to go ahead and set up some equipment right here, see about interference, and go from there. We're still getting some interference. You can see it like flashing up and down a bit, but it's staying pretty low. And a reminder that we're still near the EMF. The goal is going to be to get away from it. With all the stuff on it, I wouldn't be surprised if this is it.
Someone might have broke it.
Oh yeah, it does look broken. Okay, so we're at the site, we found it. We're gonna go ahead and get a base EMF and see. Remember, I've got my phone right now, so let's put it down and let's see. Okay, let's leave it there and we'll go get the rest of the tools and we'll see if we can elicit a response. Now we're gonna go ahead and place a couple of the little balls and go from there. I don't think they elicit a response from the EMF, but we can test it. So here's one. Let's see if it... I don't think it is.
No. Okay. Oh, it did a little bit, but my phone's also pretty close, so. You know what was her name? Opal? So I'm recording with the spirit box. We've got everything set up. Let's see how this goes. So, Opal, if you're here, we are simply testing to see if we can elicit responses. And the best way you can help us with that is to play with any of the devices. So if you got near the EMF reader, for example, it would light up. Or if you played with one of the toys, it would light up. I've also got a recorder here. If you want to try to speak to us, you can speak into the recorder, and that's another way to do it. We aren't trying to disrespect you or anything like that. This is more just to learn and gather evidence. So, okay, so we're not getting anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording and have a listen. And if it says anything, I'm running. So I'm recording with the spirit box. We've got everything set up. Let's see how this goes. So, Opal, if you're here, we are simply testing to see if we can elicit responses. And the best way you can help us with that is to play with any of the devices. So if you got near the EMF reader, for example, it would light up. And that's another way to do it. So we didn't really get much at the other location. So we decided to move, especially because there was someone hanging out in the woods behind it. And we didn't want to piss them off, or we don't even know who it is. So we decided to just move after doing a little bit of testing. Ooh, do we have a name? I don't know. Do we have a name? Mary?
Yeah. So hard to read.
Okay.
These tombstones are from like the 1800s.
Yeah, they're very, very old. So, Mary, we mean no disrespect. We are trying to gather evidence or data to suggest that pretty much anything we know or think we know about ghosts to be true. And how you can help us is to either play with the EMF reader or one of those two cat toys, and they will light up. If you're unable to do that, another method would be you can communicate to us via this spirit box if you'd like to speak into it. Okay, so now I'm going to have us listen and see if maybe she used the spirit box to reply to us. I don't know. Do we have a name?
We just got a little hit on the
Mary?
Yeah. So hard to read.
Okay.
These tombstones are from like the 1800s.
Yeah, they're very, very old. So, Mary, we mean no disrespect. We are trying to gather evidence or data to suggest that pretty much anything we know or think we know about ghosts to be true. And how you can help us is to either play with the EMF reader or one of those two cat toys, and they will light up. If you're unable to do that, another method would be you can communicate to us via the spirit box if you'd like to speak into it. We're still struggling. I will say we had a weirdly timed EMF tick whenever we started talking about the EMF again on the spirit box. The EMF ticked a few times. Granted, my phone was slightly close, but still worth mentioning just because of the timing. Okay, so we're at our last location we're going to try. We found some pretty old tombstones in a creepy location, prime ghost real estate. So we're going to go ahead and get everything set up, get some base measurements, and see if we can get an anomaly. John, are you here with us? If you are, would you be willing to play with one of the mini electronic devices we've laid about for you? You can either play with one of the cat toys, you can get near the EMF and maybe make it spike. And there's even a spirit box recording if you'd like to speak to us in a digital format. Again, if you are here, or anybody, it doesn't just have to be John, it could be anybody. If you're here and you would like to help us out, we mean no disrespect. If you could play with the EMF reader or one of the toys, or even speak into the spirit box for us, that would be amazing. Final call. This is your this is your captain speaking. This is your final call to potentially give us some kind of response. What I'm going to do is, to make it easy for you, I'm going to count down from 3, and when I get to go,
Please show us a sign.
yeah, exactly. So 3, 2, 1, go. All right, I think that's us.